So your campaign consists of what right now? How do you intend to reach voters?
We're doing door to door. That I think that we found that to be one of the most effective ways to reach people. We're doing all of the typical weekend local fundraiser events that we can get to. We are using various sorts of media. We've got a billboard up over on Route 11. We did do a television commercial, which we ran a little bit on network, just to make a little splash, and that will be running fairly heavily between now and the election. Using some of the newer tools too. Obviously, we've got a website up, GaryZingaretti.com, Facebook, Twitter. Although I'm still on the late adapters into Twitter, but Facebook I'm a little bit better in that regard. But those are the ways we're trying to get our message out.
How much do you anticipate that you'll spend through the primary?
Through the primary right now, we're looking at spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000, $20 to $25. It's not I've been told of primary races in the past where, people have spent $120,000, and I don't think anybody in this campaign or in our race, we'll see when the financial reports are put through, but I don't see anyone spending those kind of monies here. And honestly, I think this race will be more about outworking others and getting out there rather than outspending them, because quite honestly, I don't think there's a huge public recognition of any of the three of us, which is good, because that puts the onus on us to get out and make sure people know who we are and what we do.
Certainly there are regulations on the campaign donations, but do you have your own personal restraints on who you will or won't accept money from? Is there anybody out there, any entity that you feel uncomfortable with?
Well, at this point, my campaign contributions have primarily been from friends. In terms of political action committees and things like that, I think we've found that in the primary, very few are willing to contribute in a race with three people without an incumbent. I think everyone's afraid to make that bet on the wrong horse, if you will. So I guess I would say I would have to address that as the contribution offers came in, as to whether I would consider taking. But clearly, I'm sure there will be folks who want to contribute who I will not want their support from, because really, in my opinion, supporting me for the campaign is not a quid pro quo for me doing anything for them when I'm in Harrisburg, and I make that clear up front.
Putting aside for a moment your township supervisor experience, what separates you from the other two Democrats in this particular race? What makes you stand out?
Well, I like to say I have a financial guy and an attorney, and myself are the three in the race. I'm more of a financial guy, in my opinion, than the financial guy. And we've gotten along well. I'll say that up front. The two candidates, this has been a very good and pleasant race. It's been about getting our word out. But I'm a CPA. I have a master's in finance. I've run a small company. I understand what impacts the small businesses. That's on the financial side. On the legal side, I've got 25 years experience of interpreting state and federal rules. That's what I've done in my job for telephone companies. That's the niche that I serve. Even within that, part of that is to evaluate the impact that changes in those rules will have on the companies. In this sense, the companies will be replaced by the representatives, the individuals of the 119th. So I'll have a combination of being able to quickly interpret regulation, not only to see whether it's going to have its intended impacts, but to identify any unintended impacts that are buried in there that others may not see, particularly from a financial side. And obviously keeping the dollars in the hands of the residents, not the hands of the government, is a priority. So that, I think, is what would separate me from the other two candidates.
What have you learned as a township supervisor that you think might be applicable when you go to Harrisburg? Or lessons that you can take with you?
Not all decisions are popular, and that doesn't make them wrong. That's the one thing that we found. And the other thing that we found is that you can make significant headways by providing people the information they need. I think a lot of the frustration in Harrisburg is that they don't know where their money is going. They don't know what it's being spent for. I'll give you an example, just something simple that we did. We put up on our website every month a listing of every check. And it's got who it was paid to, how much it was for, and what it was for. You eliminate so many questions and concerns about where are my tax dollars going by simply sharing that information with the residents and the taxpayers, because it's their money. They need to know where it's being spent. So transparency is probably one of the biggest things that I've learned. While others will say they'll be transparent and they'll explain where they're spending money, we've already done it.
Were there hurdles getting to that? Were there people that objected to putting that information out?
No, the only information we couldn't put out is net pay, because that's protected under the Right to Know Act. It was nice. We talked about using the website very early on. I actually learned enough HTML programming to be dangerous, to the point where I'd end up having to call the guy that set up the website and say, I screwed up this page, could you fix it? But when we set that up, we set up the guidelines and basically said if it's public information, it's going on the website. And there have been a few times where I've put things up where people say, oh, I see you put this up. Yeah, is that a good idea? Doesn't matter, it's public information, that's what we agreed to. I'll give you an example. We have a page on our website that has monthly compensation paid to the supervisors, including mileage reimbursement, and pay for hourly work, which you can take pay for certain hourly functions. That's been up there now for a year and a half. There's certainly a perception that we're well-paid individuals, milking the taxpayer dollars. Well, that's pretty much cleared up when you look at that page, and see what the compensation is for a supervisor. $1,875 a year. It's on the website. But even that didn't draw any real criticism from the rest of the group, because it is public information.
What was the driving force behind that website?
Driving force was to get the word out. When I decided to run, and even a little bit prior to that, there was a lot of distrust in the township. And what I found, the more and more people I talked to, was it was unfounded distrust in so many different levels. And that was the goal going in, is to earn that trust back, because it was gone. And
was it your decision, or was it sort of a mutual realization that we need to put this information?
The website itself had been set up, but there was no content on it. The only thing on it was meeting dates and things like that. I pushed for the website, and I'm the one who actually created most of the pages on the website. And we put in everything that you could possibly imagine. We have arguments about what was or wasn't done in the past. I scanned and put in minutes of meetings going back to 1987. Every meeting, the minutes are in there. And if you want to go back, if somebody wants to say, in the 90s we had this chance to do that, they can go to the website and they can find that. So that was something that, from my background in the utility industry, who were some of the early leaders in internet websites, that was something that I thought was a really valuable tool that we were underutilizing.